Hey guys, today we have the David Childress. He has explored almost 100 countries in the world, and today we're going to talk about how people of South India really went all over the world, and this is a very interesting story. Welcome, David.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you specifically about this book, The Lost World of Cam. Seems to be getting a lot of great reviews, and it's a very interesting book.
I wrote it a few years ago. It's one of my most recent books, and it's a book I was really excited to write.
Okay.
And it was the culmination of many years of study and my travels. I've traveled a lot in India and across Asia and to Sri Lanka and Indonesia. I've been into Thailand many times, and to Cambodia and Laos. And finally I made a trip to Vietnam.
Vietnam?
Yes.
Okay.
And that is where I really started to learn about the Kham and the Kampa. And it really opened my eyes to what was going on ultimately.
Okay.
And what I discovered and what I write about in this book, and the subtitle is The Trans-Pacific Voyages of the Kampa.
Trans-Pacific
Yeah.
Voyage.
So I realized there that, first of all, that the Kham were these Shivite Hindu Buddhists.
Oh.
Yeah, they were
followers of Hinduism and Buddhism.
And Buddhism, that's right.
And they call themselves the Shivites.
The Hinduism that they followed was a Shivite Hinduism.
In Vietnam.
In Vietnam.
Okay.
And they were also in Cambodia too, and ultimately in Laos.
In Laos.
Yeah, and what I discovered with the Kham as I researched them, I really discovered them so much in Vietnam.
Okay.
Around Da Nang. The Kham were not ever in the very far north of Vietnam.
Okay.
They were from about central Vietnam and
south.
all the way to the south,
Okay.
to the Mekong Delta and all that. And the Kham were not the same as the Vietnamese, what we call the Dai Viet.
Okay.
They're
invaders. Not today's Vietnamese.
That's right. Yeah, today's Vietnamese are almost all Dai Viet. Yeah, they're from the north.
Okay.
They are really of a Chinese ancestry.
Okay.
They're very light skin, like the Chinese. They really are a sect of Chinese, just as the Thai people are pretty much the same.
Okay.
They both were invaders coming from China to the south.
Okay.
And in both cases, what they did was they pushed out the Kham or Kampa people.
Kham or Kampa
people.
How did they look? How would
the Kham people, and there's still a residual of them today in Vietnam, and you have them in Cambodia. And so the word Cambodia also comes from the word Cam. Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they are darker skinned people.
Okay.
And they are more like the people of southern India.
Okay. They look like me.
And they look like you.
Okay.
And they're also Indonesians too.
Okay.
And Cambodians are also, but they have a more Oriental look.
Okay.
But they also have darker skin than say the Vietnamese or the Thai.
Okay.
So those people, they were megalithic. They also used the keystone cuts.
Okay, they used the keystone cuts.
Those keystone cuts, which are these T-shaped cuts.
Yeah.
And you pour the metal clamps in it. Yeah. So when I went to the megalithic city near Da Nang called My Son. My Son. And I talk about it here and I show pictures.
Okay.
There I was looking at the ruins of My Son, a fantastic place. And there was basalt blocks perfectly cut that were amazing to me. I could see how what they were doing was very high tech and megalithic. And then I saw the keystone cuts.
Okay.
They were identical
to
keystone cuts I had seen at Tiwanaku in Bolivia.
Yeah.
And other keystone cuts I'd seen in Peru at Ollantaytambo.
Yeah.
And you can see them in Cusco too.
Yeah, you can see them in India too. A lot of temples have these keystone cuts.
And I think Hampi has those keystone cuts.
Yeah.
And you'll see them in Cambodia too, at Angkor Wat. You will also see them at some temples in Egypt. And at a few places also in Greece and Turkey, these keystone cuts. You'll see them at Borobudur
Borobudur.
in Java as well. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And so once I saw the keystone cuts, and keystone cuts are a very unusual way of putting giant
together,
megalithic
right?
blocks together. Yeah. And so the idea that different cultures in South America and in Vietnam and in India and in Java, also in Egypt, that they are all using this same unusual keystone cut building technique. And you're going to only see them on usually, megalithic buildings that are already very well made.
Yeah.
But then they have the keystone cuts and they have molten metals poured into them.
Okay.
So you're looking at megalithic technology, you're looking at metals technology, melting metals, pouring molten metals, and these are megalithic structures. At that point I realized, wow, the CAM are also in South America. I mean, there's some trafficking going on there. So I began to research more and more the CAM. I realized that now there's really something here. And I had been in Cambodia myself twice before, and I just thought, okay, what's going on here? I made some trips also to Java and to Borobudur. There's also another site near Yogyakarta, which is where Borobudur is, called Candi Suka. It's high in the mountains. And it's a very old Hindu temples. And there are keystone cuts there, and also the site looks like a Mayan temple. And when I'd first seen pictures of it, I thought, oh, this must be a Mayan temple here. But no, it's in Java, in Indonesia. Whoa, what was that about? So with the CAM, I realized that, yeah, they are these Shivites that are worshiping Shiva. There's many statues of Shiva there with the third eye. Yeah, I mean, that's a common motif with the Kam and Kampa people. Also, that Shiva, of course, is having the top knot. And his hair, and he's always depicted, even in Vietnam, this way. And throughout Cambodia, those megalithic places. Also, I went to a site in northern Cambodia called Priya Vihaar. It's on top of a mountain, right on the border of Cambodia and Thailand. And it's very much like Machu Picchu. So that's where I realized that the CAM were these people that were traveling across the Pacific, and that even many of the Pacific islands were being settled by the CAM, and that they were Hindus and Buddhists at the same time. And similar with Borobudur, they don't know who built Borobudur. No one takes credit for it. Historians say, oh, it was this dynasty, the Salendra dynasty, there were some Buddhists, and it must have been them who built it. But no one says they built it. But here's also another CAM site.
Originally, where did the CAM come from? Were they originally in Vietnam, or?
No, I think they came from India. I think from southern India.
South India.
South India, yes. And
what language do you think they spoke?
Well, they may well have spoken a Tamil language.
Tamil language.
Perhaps, yeah. I don't know what language they would have spoken, but sure, may well have been that.
So they start from South India, and they go Southeast Asia, which is how do you think they went?
Starting, well, I mean, they of course had Vimanas, but they were using ships really, and so the land of CAM began in Sumatra.
Yeah.
So Sri Lanka was not a land of CAM, and it was more closer, of course, just part of India or whatever. Lanka, who knows?
Because they were joined together.
And they were joined, the bridge and everything. Whatever the history there, it's closer there. But CAM became a land that was starting in Sumatra, included all of Indonesia, Java. It included Malaysia, where Singapore is today. Also Thailand, but it was before the Thai people moved down into that area. Cambodia, of course, and the southern half of Vietnam. It also included Borneo. I would say it also included the southern islands of the Philippines. And all this area was CAM, and it was in Sanskrit they called it Suvarnabhumi.
Suvarnabhumi,
Yeah,
the land of gold.
The land of gold,
Yeah.
yeah. And when you go even today to the Bangkok airport, it's called Suvarnabhumi
Is it
Airport,
Suvarnabhumi?
yeah.
Right.
Land of Gold Airport. And there's as you go through the airport, there's a big mural of Rama on his flying chariot. You see it, it's very nicely done.
Okay.
And it's always nice to see that. So yeah, the land of Cam was this Hindu and then later Hindu-Buddhist area that it encompassed a huge area. And so many ports and islands.
Okay.
And so the Cam had a fleet of huge ships.
Okay.
So many ships.
Do you think they were like extremely well developed?
Very well developed and rich in gold. And there's a famous story of the Chinese coming down to some of the Kampa cities in southern Vietnam to loot them, and they took so much gold and treasure.
Okay.
The Cam people had so much gold and treasure.
Okay.
And they were traveling from island to island. They were great navigators in the ocean. They could go to any Pacific island.
Okay.
They were the ones going to Tonga and Tahiti and ultimately to Hawaii, to Marquesas, even to Easter Island. All of those islands.
You think the Cam people built the Easter Island?
I believe now that the Cam people built Easter Island, what's on Easter Island, and I believe that the statues on Easter Island are statues of Shiva.
Okay.
When the statues on Easter Island, they're huge, they're megalithic, and they wanted to put them around the edge of the island, and they wanted to put a top knot
on the head, just like Shiva
and there was a separate piece of stone, a red volcanic stone, and it was a top knot with that, and it's like a hat, but if you are a Shivite and you know Shiva, you know that top knot is Shiva, and it's symbolizing Shiva. Right. And I've been to Easter Island 3 times, and it wasn't really until I went to Vietnam and started researching the Cam that I realized, and the whole Shivite thing, and I realized those statues are Shiva. So with the Cam, we're coming across the Pacific as Hindu sailors, really, and later they were Buddhist, and we're talking going back to I think 1000 BC, you know, but going up to around the Cam Empire lasted until about 500 AD or so.
Okay.
What happened with the demise of Cam was a civil war in Southeast Asia among Cam cities. And there was a city in Sumatra called Srivijaya. Srivijaya, yeah, that's it. And they know it was in Sumatra. They're still trying to find exactly where it was. That's a city that has been destroyed by tidal waves and earthquakes and volcanoes. And in fact, it's in that area where just recently, in the last year, there was a tidal wave in Indonesia, and it hit that part of Sumatra, and and wiped it out. And that's the area where Srivijaya was, But so there was a civil war, and the Cam began fighting with each other. They went to Vietnam. At that time, the central power of the Cam was in southern Vietnam. There's some islands off of Vietnam too, called the Cam Islands.
Cam Islands?
Yeah.
They're still called Cam Islands.
They're still called the Cam Islands today. And those islands are granite islands off of Da Nang. And they have very nice beaches, but even today, not many people live there. But apparently what would happen, and what I say in my book, is that fleets of ships at certain times of the year, fleets of ships, also coming from China, they were coming from Java, and also I think from southern India, also from Orissa and Konarak and places like that. And they would meet at those Cam Islands. Huge fleets of ships, giant ships too. And then from there, they would head out into the Pacific, because that was a very good place. Going just south of the Philippines. They would head out into the Pacific, and from there they would go to Micronesia, to this fantastic place called Nan Madol.
Okay.
on Ponape Island
Mhm.
in Micronesia.
Mhm.
But beyond, and then out into Tonga and Samoa and Tahiti, and ultimately to Mexico and Central America and to Colombia and to Peru.
So
Yeah.
they make a major mark in Southeast Asia. They build these amazing megalithic sites,
Including Borobudur.
Okay. And then what is the next really amazing stop they make?
The next stops are going to be Fiji,
Fiji.
where there are also megaliths.
Okay.
Then to Tonga,
Tonga.
where you have the number of pyramids.
Okay.
The site outside of Easter Island that has the most megaliths and pyramids and unusual sites is Tonga.
It's Tonga.
And Tonga has megalithic buildings.
Mhm.
It has a giant stone arch, trilthon,
Mhm.
like Stonehenge.
Mhm.
It has several
So-
pyramids.
So in Tonga, they do build these amazing structures.
They
And
did.
then
They
where
did.
do they go?
From there, they would continue to the east, to Samoa,
Samoa,
and then to Tahiti.
Tahiti.
Also going to the Marquesas, which is a little bit farther north, but closer to Mexico.
Okay.
And then from there, they have to make that final big, journey to North America.
To North America.
Yeah, where they're
They-
landing in either California or in Baja California or in Mexico
Okay.
or even farther south.
So thank you so much, David. I'm a big fan of you, and all this information that I'm hearing from you is just amazing. Thank you.
It's been great talking to you, Praveen. I've enjoyed it very much.